Hit the lights.
You've discovered the Halfwatt Podcast. We want to educate and entertain by tapping into the most trusted source of new technology, the ones installing and innovating it. You, the tradespeople that build from the ground up. Join us as we talk with industry leaders, veteran contractors, and even some young blood.
Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard. On today's podcast, we're talking to Dave Gilson.
How's it going?
What's going down? First off, Dave has been teaching and running the teaching program here for how long now?
I got involved way back in 1989 in the program, and there was a lot of complaints about
89?
Instructors. Excuse me, 98. I take that
Okay.
back. 98. 1998, I got involved, and there was a lot of complaints with apprentices about the instructors.
Yeah.
And I got to a point where there was a time to get in there and do a couple of substitutions, and found out that the students were right.
Yeah, it was just,
The
it
instructors
wasn't
weren't
working
pulling their
right.
weight. And it turned out to be something really silly, believe it or not. The instructors got paid more for oral instruction only versus lab and instruction.
Oh, no kidding.
And for apprenticeship, that kills it.
So once you got the pay equalized for both in and out of the classroom, it helped.
I had to fight for that, but they understood finally that the pay shouldn't be that way for
Should be
apprenticeship.
differentiated.
So that's gone now. That pay issue is gone. But it was stupid for apprenticeship not to have hands-on abilities.
So you're talking like 25 years that you've been doing this.
25 years of teaching.
Damn.
Yeah.
And how long have you been in the whole trade? I mean, you've been in this all your life, right?
1984. I
1984.
started playing with the old coax, hooking the IBM mainframes. Terminals. They weren't computers, they were terminals.
Nobody here knows what that ThinNet, was that what that was called?
Oh, that was after that yet.
ThinNet was after the coax?
I had ThickWire. I had to do ThickWire first.
So networking kids was on coax, right?
Yes.
The original networks were on coax.
Yep.
And so it was like a token ring, or was it?
No, not to start with. It was an individual run.
Between the
but then when the
terminal and a mainframe.
When the ThinNet came out, then yes, it became the daisy chain.
Okay.
The problem they had with that was those little Macintosh they were portable somewhat portable.
Yeah, kind of.
They'd put them in their little bag and take them home. Well, office managers didn't know any better. They'd leave the little plug-in on their laptop or on their Mac and disconnect the coax on both sides of it.
And break the network.
Fortunately, the UTP category, Cat 3 at the time, wasn't far behind that ThinNet. So
what was ThinNet? I mean, was it like a small coax?
Yes, RG58, I believe, is what it was.
No kidding.
Yeah.
So that's why, because I've seen that in ceilings still, like, old buildings. So we got little old buildings on the hill, and every once in a while, if they haven't gutted a floor, you'll go above the ceiling. Like, what's that? That's like, when they got this gray non-plenum gray PVC cable that they pulled for years.
If it's laying on the ceiling tile, it's probably
that's what exactly. Every once in a while, someone will go, "Why is all this coax up here?" And say, "That's the old networking stuff." And then as they gut the floors, as they do remodels, they take all that stuff out, all the old piping, everything, and they just go to a shell, and then they redo it. And so you've got these old ancient buildings on the outside with super modern stuff on the inside. It's beautiful. I love the architecture, the way they do it.
Yeah.
That's a long time, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I moved out up here for working at Tektronix and got into their networking internally with them. And that's
where you got your training from?
That's where I started. And then one of the contractors offered me an offer I couldn't refuse, and so I jumped out into the actual.
I'm something you can't refuse.
Basically, I went out into the cabling world then.
Welcome to Oregon. Well, and you're originally from Utah, right?
Yeah.
So, on a side note, I was doing some research and found out that Gilson, the Gilsonite, is a mineral that was named after, I think probably your great grandfather.
Oh, somewhere down the road.
Somewhere down the line, yeah. So if you guys look up Gilsonite, it's a product that is, it's sort of an asphalt type product. It's a tar but it actually is a mineral, and it's only found in like 3 places in the world. And
Colorado,
Yep.
What would I say? Western Colorado, Eastern
Eastern
Utah.
Utah.
There's the Uinta Basin in there.
Exactly, the Uinta Basin,
Yeah.
which is a crazy area anyway for lots of other reasons.
Oh yeah, that's where the dinosaurs,
Yep.
all that stuff. The
Which I think is where that
fossils
comes
around.
from.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's the old, and the Native Americans there have like they go back centuries, so it's
Yes.
like that whole area is
Yes.
pretty rich in heritage.
Beautiful place to go visit. Just take mosquito repellent.
Is it that bad? It's like Southeast.
You get
Oregon.
around the water there, it's gonna have bugs.
I took when my dad was still alive. Him and Ann, his wife, came to visit, and we went to the Steens. And the Steens at the wrong time, the Steens Mountains, you get these mosquitoes, and they're just like clouds. I mean, and they're like, these are terrible. I'm saying, you're from Louisiana. How the hell can this be worse? Honestly. And they're like, we got to go. You can't even get from the car to the hotel room. Oh man, that was rich. Well, that's cool though. Yeah, I discovered that in my crazy UFO search. I read that. I heard Gilsonite.
Yeah.
What the heck's going on? Because there's a big mine north of the Skinwalker Ranch, and that's where I discovered that. And I texted you. I was like, hey man, you're like, they don't have no Brooksonite out here. Shit. Oh man. So you've been in this trade a long time and been teaching for a long time. What have you noticed in as you've gone through all this? Because all these changes, because I've only been teaching for like, I'm a baby. I'm 12 years into this. So what have you seen over all the time that you've been doing this?
I'm seeing the quality of installations improve overall. There are still some contractors that don't.
Yeah.
You know, they cut the corner, they make it look pretty on where the customer sees it, and you pop the tile and you can see where they've cut the corners, you know. So, but the caliber of apprentice coming in, I think, has improved too.
Good. That's nice to say. I noticed that too. I've had a lot of people change careers to come into this that I did not expect.
Yep.
I had a pilot a couple of terms ago. I had a guy who literally flew an Embry aircraft for like years. Who I said, you flew like for Horizon Air. I mean, he flew all over the place. He's like, yeah, man, I just got out of the cockpit. I want to go do something different. And I'm like, wow, I know people who want to be pilots, and he's like, I don't want to be a pilot anymore. I want to pull wire and
wow.
And
Remember we had the guy that was a mechanic. I think he'd been a mechanic in his 40s. Mm-hmm. Changed careers and hopped into here and went through it. So
I've had a couple of those. I've got a guy right now in one of my classes who's got a degree in chemistry and worked in the electronics industry and decided to do something different.
Huh.
And he's so I've got former Marines.
Yep.
Navy and Air Force folks. So it's like, I love the fact that we get such a variety. And I do, you probably do the same thing, but I always go through and poll all the students and say, tell me who you are, what you did before you got into this trade, so that everybody kind of goes, oh, I didn't know you were, ex-Army. I didn't know you were, a bubblehead in the Navy. What the hell? That's cool. It kind of makes me feel like the apprentices, are not just, I don't know, nothings. They all come with this history. They all come with a background. They all come with knowledge. They all come with skills that I can use and tap into from time to time. So,
and I find some of these apprentices, if they're have been doing something for a while and now have to get into the trade because it's licensed here, some of them can still teach me a thing or two about.
I think you're right. I think you're right. So with the program here, do you think you're just gonna keep running it, right? You're not gonna back out or anything? And
as long as they'll keep me around. This is where I kind of plan to get once I retire out of the business, is to stay in the educational piece of it.
So in order for me to take your position over, I have to push you off a roof, like for shizzle?
Maybe talk to my wife and some poison or something. I don't know.
We can't figure out a quicker way. Well, I love it. I don't see myself getting out of this for a while.
No, I really enjoy it too.
I do too.
The COVID incident, bringing through the enforcing the online training.
Yeah.
Open to eyes is some different methods that we can do some things.
Yeah.
Where my issue that I still struggle with it is not being able to see eyes of the apprentice.
I feel the same way. And, you know, we came back after COVID and we were scrambling to get back in the classroom because I you know, when you just turn your camera off, I don't know what the hell's going on the other end of that.
Yep, exactly.
You're watching cartoons on another window.
Yep. Muted and blank screen. Yep.
Yep. I enjoy face-to-face teaching. So, how's business? You've been running your own show now for a long time. What's that like?
I just celebrated 20 years, going on 21 now.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And you're doing well. I mean, you're not hurting for business.
Oh no, not at all.
So, for all those folks out there who are entrepreneurs or think, well, what am I going to do? Because you have an LEA and a contractor's license,
yep.
Correct? And you've been able to sustain your family for a quarter century,
yeah,
or more,
yeah,
doing what you do,
yep,
which is data and telecom, right? And sometimes fire.
Fire alarm and access and cameras, and that's excuse me. That's where I found my niche with the customer, was to tell them I can do all of this variety of stuff. And my name got passed around, even though they may not need me for that piece of it or a different property.
Yeah.
You know, they needed me for something else, and so that's how I found my business, by word of mouth.
And you've got a lot of repeat business and a lot of folks that like know you, have known you forever.
Still have my first customer.
Do you know you really?
I still do.
God, that's crazy, man.
Still have the very first customer.
So your customer service skills are as good as your installation skills.
I hope.
I would hope too. But I think that because you and I we both know a couple of folks who started their own company. They're slowly gaining
yep.
Momentum, and so for everybody who doesn't know, it's Dakota Farmer with Farmer Fire Protection and Halfwatt Electric. And Kieran is doing good. They're both doing good.
Good. Yeah, I chat with Dakota quite often.
I do too. I do. He seems to be a little bit further ahead than Kieran, but only I think because he started his business, I think, a good solid year before he did. But they're both moving forward in the industry, so they're my eyes on like what it's like to just be an entrepreneur and do it yourself, because I don't have that kind of spirit. I'm work for the man kind of guy. I'm the cog that fits here.
Yeah.
Kind of guy. I work much better under your leadership. If I can just tuck up underneath your wing, I'll do fine. Because I just don't have the stones to run my own company.
Yeah.
That's just what boils down to that. But that doesn't mean that I don't appreciate the fact that some people can.
Right.
But I know a lot of people have that desire to be their own boss, to set their own hours, right? Grant does that. He's got his own company.
Yep.
So, we know enough independent contractors who are doing this that, I'm kind of shocked that we don't have more people, starting more companies. And I'm not saying that they're not out there, because I've seen small 1 or 2 man shops grow to be much bigger. And I've, worked for smaller shops that got pretty big. But I just think that and of course in all my classes I'm going, hey kids, the future could be LED lighting, or it could be PoE. When we saw the boom when PoE came in, and what happened with that,
and still
getting big, yeah. And the next thing coming up, photovoltaics, and I don't even know where the future. You're kind of got your finger on that. Where do you think the future is going with this?
I see some really leaps and bounds in low voltage type lighting.
Okay.
In fact, I'm gonna, if my grandson does get into this business and wants to pursue things down the road for himself, I'm gonna really attack that.
Good.
Because that's lights.
Yeah.
For commercial facilities, I'm not interested in the residential personally. I'm just never been a residential interest. But I can take a lot of If I can install lights for the customer on a commercial facility, that's a big threat to some.
It's a huge threat
work.
because most people don't know that, but a lot of these lighting in a lot of these facilities is all 277.
Yeah.
So you can drop that down to LED lighting, which a lot of places already have. But some of the original LED lighting that came out was still using high power, high voltage.
Yes.
And now you can drop it down to low voltage, which reduces the fire risk.
Yep.
Reduces the wattage. You still get the same color light.
Yep.
And then remember we were talking about some of the interactive capabilities of LED lighting?
Yep.
Talk about that because I don't think a lot of people know about it.
Obviously the color changing aspect of it. I better step back just a little bit. There's PoE lighting.
Okay.
And then there's an LED lighting system.
All right. So power over Ethernet lighting.
And then there's LED lighting.
Okay.
I'm going to
Two separate entities.
There's three pieces here to this, all right?
All right.
So LED lighting would be traditional what your electrician's doing.
Okay.
You started out with replace the bulb with an LED bulb, right? And that was LED lighting.
Okay, so LED lighting is 120 volt stuff. With,
that's how it was. Now they're replacing the ballast and putting an LED ballast in there, low voltage ballast, and running LED lights out of it. So it's becoming more of a LED type function, like it should. Then there's an LED lighting system. That is, I'm going to pick on a fire alarm panel.
Okay.
Drop me off the 120 volts. I'll take it from there.
Okay.
It becomes a low voltage.
A clear line of demarcation between high voltage.
It's a low voltage lighting system at that point.
Okay.
All right. It's built. It has its own infrastructure itself. It can be quite complicated, in my opinion, and because of all of the features and capabilities of it. Are more programmed oriented. A lot of programming goes into it to set this stuff up, or a lot of pre-design work.
A lot of
thought going into this to be able to set this up and make it work like you want it to. PoE lighting is basically obviously a data circuit that then generates voltage to drive their LED lights. And they've now come out with not just beside the white lights, now they're into the color lights as well.
Okay.
So they're going to really start competing against the LED lighting system.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So most folks probably don't realize, unless you have stumbled into it, but like lighting like we're in right now is warm, maybe 3,800 or Kelvin or 3,500 Kelvin.
Yep.
This is actually probably cooler than that. So as you get higher in Kelvin rating, it gets more blue.
Yep.
And so daylight, like 4,000 to 5,000 Kelvin rated lights, actually inside a building can make you feel different.
Yep. Sure does.
It can sometimes it can amp people up. I've been in offices where it's like the Kelvin's really high and they got their plants around there, and it almost feels like you're back into it.
And they do that with this LED lighting systems and PoE lighting.
I like that.
They'll change it to a blue color. And studies showed them that it makes people more productive after lunch to do that.
So they could shift it.
They didn't find any difference up before lunch.
Okay.
It was that immediately after lunch type area where you come back a little lethargic from lunch, their productivity boosted. They could see a measurable difference.
No kidding. I crash when I eat at work.
Oh yeah, a lot of people do. Yeah.
Oh, I just it's so hard for me after I eat. I'm like,
yep.
I just gotta go. And everybody knows me because I'm old. I'm like, Mike's got his hat on. I'm out. I take like a 5-minute cat nap and I'm up. Okay, what was that programming again? Okay, get forward. That's cool though. I like that. So that is one aspect of where people could potentially get into it. What's some of the other stuff that you see that's new?
And when we start talking these LED lighting systems, I mean, they're getting down to where you're able to do, advertisement boards, that kind of stuff. They got it thin enough you can put like a wrap on your van.
Really?
Yeah.
LED wrap?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
And graphic signs, if it's legal, depending on where you're at. But yeah, they can.
No kidding.
It's almost like a wrap. And yes. So you can, side of a building, showing a sports event or something like that with these LED screens, so to speak. It's a light, right? You just turn the lights on and off to as needed for the pixel. Basically, replace them with the pixel
because it's all LED.
Yeah.
Like when I explain to my students, the LED is the transistor was awesome. It's great, and I love it. And we couldn't have what we have without them.
Right.
But the technology and diodes, and especially light emitting diodes, has changed everything. It's changed the way we watch television. Or all of our, it's such low power to get such beautiful graphics on TVs now. Who doesn't have an OLED or or the other types of LED TVs, right?
Yeah.
You're just no one's using vacuum tube TVs anymore.
No,
I have to explain.
I got rid of mine too. I did. I finally got rid of them.
I remember. I look at my students. I'm like, okay, so we used to have TVs that, and they remember seeing them, but I'm like, those were actually like vacuum tubes where you were blowing a stream of electrons from the gun at the back of the tube to the phosphorescence or the phosphor on the front of the tube. And so when they said you're sitting in front of the tube too close, you're getting irradiated. Yeah, we're. It was a cathode ray tube. Yep. So guess what's shooting out at you? So it's like, it truly was kind of dangerous to sit in front of a TV and sit too close.
Sit too close to TV.
Fry your eyeballs. Now you can sit as close as you want.
That's right.
But I like, so besides the LED technologies and the lighting, what other stuff do you think is coming down the industry, coming down the pipe that you see?
I think the networking, applications that people want to control whatever system it is with their phone or smart device. And I think it's going to creep into every aspect of every piece of our business.
Okay, I agree with that. So not just in home, but in business as well.
Yeah, I would love to be able to have an app on my phone that my fire alarm system goes off. I want to log in and see what it is, on my an app on my phone. I don't, yes, obviously the fire department is being dispatched, but
what exactly?
What caused it? Yeah. And can I see?
Because we can log in on our system. We can log in, but it's not just pick up, boom, you're there. It's onto the web, onto a VPN, then onto a server that's specifically for that, and then open up another app that lets you. It's pretty clunky.
The customer's going to drive that at some point. They are. That's really what reality is.
And it's true.
I want to turn my temperature on, the lights on in the house because I'm coming home we've been gone for a week vacation. The house is cold and. Get that stuff going on. So
Jesse and his automation that he talks about for home automation, and he's doing that. Like he'll whip out his iPad and show you high-end homes, where he's controlling the everything in it: lights, curtains, television systems, sound systems, access control.
I wonder what his customers think while he's teaching class.
Well, no, he's Jesse's gonna kill us both. But he's really like I've had students who are taking, I've got one student who's taking this class right now, and he happens to be also my apprentice, and he goes, that stuff's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's amazing. And he goes, so his parents own a place up in Goldendale, and he was thinking of how he could help, bring some of the automation in so they can have some of these features. And he's got, like, I saw him, he's got sketch pencils, and he's putting stuff together. Jesse has him, design and do stuff. And I kind of looked over his shoulder because, I'm kind of a one-trick pony. Fire good, everything else bad. And I'm looking at this going, man, that's just kind of interesting. I'm looking over his shoulders. He's putting his stuff together. I'm like, so Jesse's having you put all that. He goes, oh yeah. It's a full meal deal. He really does. Make sure that you understand just how. So I guess what I'm alluding to is that in home automation you can have a lot of those things.
Oh heck yeah.
And you're saying that in a business, like if you have a small business, it would be just as nice to have that if you were a small business owner and you happen to have a brick and mortar shop.
Cameras, security system went off. I got cameras that went into cameras now can actually be an alarm system if you wish, right?
Right.
So it goes off. Let me see what's going off, what's happening. We're doing that at home right now.
But are you working with like facial recognition cameras yet? Have you put those in?
I have not had customers. I've done license plate, but not facial.
We have a license plate that they put in, a new license plate reader at work. It's pretty obvious that it's there, what it's there for.
Yeah.
But it's like, don't know why it's pointing there. I'm looking at myself going, what the hell is it looking at? Why is it checking out my manhood? But no, it's I don't know who's doing facial recognition cameras and how. Are you putting those things in? Have you done any work like that? Talking to my producer.
What?
Any facial recognition cameras yet?
Absolutely not.
You're not doing any of that. You're just all fire all the time.
Fire. Baby.
I would assume that has to be someplace you're really worried about, security from a standpoint. But then you got to know pretty much, have the data to know what's a threat too.
Yeah, I would think what database are you going to tap into?
Yeah.
Gee, if Gage was here, he would be able to tell us. Huh.
He'll feel bad when he listens to this.
You should feel bad when you listen to this because you have all this data. But so license plate. So you put license plate cameras in. Does it have an access? Does it access some database that's provided by the people who give you the cameras?
It's self-learning.
Okay.
And it depends on how much, where the state is or the municipality is, how much information they will give to you
that makes sense.
You don't have. Otherwise, you have to. Otherwise, you have to start looking it up on your own. A lot of times, you get the license plate and then they'll deal with you. In most cases.
So if there's a crime or something like that, you can at least provide.
Here's the license number, and then turn it over, and then your hands are out of it at that point.
And then that's got to go to some research group or whatever. But that's cool. So the new advanced cameras, I know that there are some smoke detection systems they're using optical systems as well.
Yep.
And I know that being able to have a camera that does burg, right? Essentially burglar and fire.
General observation,
facial recognition, and maybe even license plates. You can see that the optics are going to be the wave of the future.
So there's talk about a niche right there, learning how to operate a camera like that or program and set up a camera like that.
Yeah.
And that's where when we were talking about home automation, that was the struggle I saw with Jesse in the past when he first started bringing us in, was all these different manufacturers trying to make them work together.
I bet that's a pain in the
difficult because it wasn't a manufacturer. You had one that's dominated the market, seems to be doing a whole lot better at it. But you pretty much just come down to you buy their interface pieces to make this all work right.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Well, and the prices seems to be coming down on a lot of this stuff too, and the technology is becoming, affordable for everybody to get it. I mean, we have like a couple of Ring cameras in our house, but nothing super fancy.
But again, that's something, it pops up on your phone, right? When it happens.
Does. Yeah.
Customers are going to want that stuff.
Man, I bought a new car. I bought a new car for the wife. I bought a Honda, and it's got an app. I can see where the car is at. I can start the car remotely. I can open up the doors, and it all via satellite.
Yep.
Believe it or not.
Yep.
So it's like, that's kind of handy. So do I want to pay for the app? Kinda, yeah. I mean, I kind of like the fact that I can see where my car is at, and and it'll even tell me if someone's trying to open up the door handle. It's got all kinds of wacky crap built into it. So you're right. I mean, technology is carrying in your back pocket the ability to do all these things it's kind of.
That's where I think is going to drive our market a lot more, because that means everything that we install has to connect to the internet.
Of course, yeah.
Which now means if I didn't know before, now I have to learn how to program and set up a device to be put on the internet.
Yep. Which forces your hand.
So now I'm headed down a programming road at some point in the game. If I'm not there, you better get into it, right?
You can't be programming at your age. No way.
You got to set up those IP addresses and all that stuff to put that device out there. So.
I'm telling you, man, I like the technology that I've been dealing with, and I like exercising my brain to be able to program and still do stuff, because I'll be 60 this year. I'll be 60 in June. So it's like I've reached that point where I remember my grandparents, and I guarantee you at 60 they were not doing technologically advanced stuff like this. They just weren't.
Right.
I mean, I'm not knocking them. I mean, there wasn't like, you couldn't really have a mainframe at home when you were when they were 60. It was a little expensive.
Slide rule.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what they had. But they were involved in social things like the Elks Lodge and stuff like that. Yeah. And that was their whole shtick. But now we're all like buried in technology. I can't live without the crap. I just can't.
And I don't know if that's a good thing or not, to be honest.
I don't know either.
You know? I fortunate enough to grow up in the days before all of this really exploded, and I miss that. I really do.
Do you? What do you do for fun when you're not working? Because every time I see you, you're working.
Motorcycle rides, get in the car, go somewhere, duck hunting, fishing, just something that takes my mind out of the day-to-day stuff. Is my kind of a vacation.
So you got a Harley, a big Harley, or?
It's a Honda, but it's an 1800. So.
Oh, nice. I don't think I've seen that. I've seen your Ray. I mean, your Ray's out in the parking lot.
I have to look in the rearview mirror to see most Harleys.
They'll love that. 1800. That's a big bike.
Yeah, it's a big one.
That's a big bike.
It scoots. It does.
Yeah.
It looks like a Harley, to be honest, but
doesn't. It's not like a Goldwing, right? Or is that,
no,
it's a different.
It's more of it's more of a roadster type looking thing.
Nice.
Yeah. If I put pipes on it, you'd be very difficult to tell it wasn't a Harley.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, they had to. Harley has a patent on their sound. I don't know if you know that.
I know the cam, the type of
And this was as close as they can get without violating
right, because then Yamaha violated it, and they had to go. They went at each other.
Yep.
Yeah, because I remember when Yamaha made theirs, a friend of mine bought one, and it sounded like a Harley.
Oh, yeah.
It really did. It thumped like that because of the timing, but yeah.
Oh, I got the thump, but it's just not quite the same interval, sound as a Harley.
That's funny. So you do a lot of motorcycle riding. You do a lot of driving. I know that you've gone to school to drive. Your Stingray because that's a mid-engine. You went to mid-engine driving course.
Not
right?
mid-engine, no.
Oh,
I got the last year of the front engine.
Oh, okay. So how was that? I remember you telling me about that.
Oh, I'm going to go back. That's so
Are
much
you really?
fun. Oh, yes. I'll pay to do it again.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah.
So, and that you drive your car or their car?
I'm not sure how the second trip's going to be. The first trip was part of the car, purchasing the car. Went down there and they set you up in a car that was just the same model and all the accessories pretty much that you had purchased.
So then they show you how to drive.
Oh, yeah.
A high performance.
Yeah, they take you out there.
That.
Yeah, you start out you think it's silly stuff, and they want you to go around and spin out in water. Oh, this, come on, really slide and then they have you put the car in different modes so you can see how it handles.
No kidding.
And they have you try and spin the car in the water another time when it's in the right mode. You can't.
No kidding.
That thing locks right up.
So it's overthinking. It's already ahead of you on the game.
It's amazing what they've done with some of that.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, so in my new Honda, I did not get a course to drive my CR-V fast on the road. I can see.
Man.
Oh, Mike, you have to have.
You need to talk to your dealer.
You have to have the station wagon course. I tease. We just wanted a new car that, because it's a mom car. I mean, it's just for us to just putz around, and we don't even put my big dog in it. I keep him in my old car, my old beater car, because he's so hairy. But yeah, I could see that because that's a nice ride you got.
Oh, it's fun. I mean, and I guess even if I have to take mine down there to do it again, I'm willing to do that.
And where's the course at?
It's in Pahrump.
Oh, okay.
It's about 60 miles out of Vegas.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool, man.
It was a lot of fun.
And I didn't know you duck hunt. You duck hunt and fish too.
Yes. I belonged to a duck club for quite a number of years.
Really? Yeah. I did not know that.
Had our best season this last year. We had there's about 21 of us, 22 of us in the club.
Where do you guys hunt at? Just all over?
It's out in Banks.
Oh, no kidding.
On a private farm we leased the land from.
That's the best.
And we got over 1,000 birds this last year. So.
Dang. Wow.
A lot of birds.
A lot of birds.
A lot of birds.
Good. So all this, and I'm gonna kind of do a hook here. All this pretty much paid for because you run your own company and you're able to have the time and to do all that.
And to set hours sometimes, to set your side at time. That's difficult when you're self-employed.
Because you're always on call.
Because you always feel on call. You got all the paperwork to do. To try and set some time aside for yourself probably make, I want to go do this day.
Sure.
So you have to plan a little bit more in advance than, just winging it.
Yeah.
So, if I plan 4 or 5 days in advance, okay, I can't go in early on this day. I got to go do this, or I got to get out early and go take care of something.
And you're still teaching, you teach twice a week now?
Twice a week still.
Yeah, I do too. I'm kind of hooked on it.
If I did retire, maybe 3. I don't know. I did that for that one term, but I was still working, and I
remember you said it became more of a religion at that point.
That was no way I can do that again.
It's hardcore when you're working, and I did 3. I did 3 a couple of terms, and that was tough. And I thought I might lose my wife if I do that. I did shift off of Mondays to Tuesday and Wednesdays, and that was a nice shift for me.
Really?
So that way, because I'm work 410s at my regular gig, and I come home on Monday, and I'm not flipping over and
Gotcha.
Because we have horses, and I spend my time on horseback when I'm not. And if I'm not out playing with my dogs, doing something with them, then
I was going to ask you about that. Do you rope cattle?
No.
Do you ride them into town?
Not yet.
Do you put a cowboy hat on?
I do put a cowboy hat on. I don't have chaps, but I do wear a cowboy hat from time to time.
Curious as to why the horse then.
Well, I tell you what, my wife got me into this. And then she did the puppy dog sales. You ever had that happen?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we had 2 quarter horses. As a matter of fact, we got married on horseback.
Oh, okay.
But I was a super novice rider. I didn't know anything about it at all. And so, but she knew quite a bit. And she goes, and I could control a quarter horse that was pretty well trained. Any idiot can figure that out. And I was just that idiot. So we had these 2 quarter horses. And then she said, well, I want to get a Mustang, like really bad. So we got a Mustang right off the BLM, and we raised it and basically sold it to somebody who could really train it because we hadn't figured that part out yet. And then we got another Mustang, but this one came off the Warm Springs Reservation. And so it's an orphan foal, which is not uncommon. So we took her in at about 8 weeks. And I think at about a year or 2, she said, I think this should be your horse to ride. And it changed the whole dynamic of it. And so I got on her back. I tamed her as best I could. I used a trainer. She helped me figure out how to tame her. Got on her back. She tossed me. We had all kinds of experiences on her. Eventually, I took her to a trainer. His name's JR. He's very well known in the industry. And this guy put some base training on her that I needed. and after she'd been there for a couple of weeks, he said, come ride this horse and let me see how you do. And I got on this horse, and at this time we were in the posse. We were trying to get into the posse.
Okay.
And we had, and he says, I didn't know you didn't know how to ride. And I said, yeah, I said, I tell you what, I will mimic, you tell me how to ride, because when you're in the horse community, everybody's got an opinion on what you're doing wrong. And so, and every trainer is a little bit different. And I said, you teach me what I should do. And he goes, this is how I want you to ride, and always ride like that. And that's what I did. And because that's the way I trained the horse, and the horse and I all of a sudden meshed.
Exactly.
And that was it. It was on.
Sense.
And even the folks in the posse went, what the hell happened? Like, you were just a basket case 3 weeks ago, and now it's like you know what you're doing. So we stayed in the posse. We did that for a number of years, and I was able to take the horse into the Clackamas Town Center parking lot in the middle of Christmas and take her through the parking lot and not curb stomp people. So her and I melded pretty well. But our real love is to get out in the woods and to ride. Okay. And so the wife and I, almost every weekend, that isn't completely terrible with rain, take them out and go do something. Well, now we have 4 horses of our own, and then we have one that we watch, that we help with a guy who lives next door to where we keep our horses. And he's got this 17-hand monster horse that's just a beautiful horse. He's a big shire. He's beautiful. And so we essentially have 5 horses, and one of them's not rideable yet because she's about to go off for training. She's too small. And we just cycle through them. Huh. And so my wife she feeds them, handles them almost every day, and trains them, works with them. And then on the weekends I swoop in
Go have fun.
Right. Yeah. Well, honey, you've done all the work. You've done all the heavy lifting. Let me see how this horse is doing, kind of a thing. But so after all the years I've been riding, it's been, I'd say 14 at this point, 14, 15. I never understood why there's a lot of women in the horse game. Like there's more women than men by far. And I never understood how come they're constantly going to trainers. I thought they would have figured out how to ride by now, and I just didn't quite understand it. Now I've ridden enough that I can see why they go to trainers all the time. It's to improve their ride and to improve the performance on the horse. We're not like calving or anything like that. But if you were into that, then absolutely, That's the kind of trainer you'd go to. But just so that the horse and you are in symbiosis is the best way I can put it. And my horse and I are. Like we really have something, but now I can start to see where I'm not quite where I should be. And I'm starting to kind of lust for a better relationship with her.
Gotcha. And
a better riding relationship with her. And I rarely use a saddle. Like I only use a saddle when I have to. Like I bareback pad on her. And so I'm connected with her. And so my wife does the same thing. Like prefers, it's easier on our backs too, because we're old. But yeah, that's what it's been. So really camping, taking them out in the woods, ponying one behind us. We went out last Sunday and rode, and it rained on us. Like I went out in a t-shirt thinking that.
Oh, it rained some pretty good rain too.
We were in the middle of it. And the horses are like, we got to get out of here. So I get back all soaked but the whole experience is each time I ride with the horses, the more I realize their capabilities. And none of our horses are super high performing horses except the big ones.
Come on, when do I want to see you on TV?
Okay.
At the Kentucky Derby.
Well,
you're getting old enough. You need to get it out of here soon.
Go race. The biggest horse that we have, the one that we kind of watched, that's the 17 hand one. He's like a 1,500 pound horse, and he is a thoroughbred Shire, so he's a mix of two.
If you come in last, I want to see you do it.
I would be dead last, but that thing when you take him out and you uncork him, he's like riding a YZ 465. I have never been on a horse that moves so fast, and he's just fluid. It's just like golden. So you get up to you're fully engaged on a horse. You're running with them, and when you run with them, they feel that you're in balance with them. They just go flat out, and then it all makes sense. Then you know why people do this. Because I'm thinking, God, we should just get a motorcycle and just go bounce around in the woods. Why would I do this until I get horseback? And then I'm like, okay, I see the reason now. It really connects you with them. And so anyway, that's my whole shtick. Good. So that's where we spend our time and money and energies. It's one of the reasons I teach too, is because it helps offset the costs on that. Because everything's expensive with horses.
I'm sure. I know a lot of people, if they don't get out and use them enough, they're spending more money than it's worth.
And there's a lot of maintenance to it, like hooves and and shots and a lot of that stuff we do ourselves, but we haven't done hooves yet. But we're getting to that point where we're going to start to learn how to do it. Yeah. But it's togetherness with the wife and I. So when I'm not teaching or I'm not working, I'm with her. Like I'm completely wrapped in that world.
Good.
And so it's hard for me to break away to do anything else. Like it's bizarre. Like I've never felt this way towards somebody where I just wanted to spend like gobs of time with them. And so if we're not doing that, we're watching TV. we're just blobbing out, watching TV or hiking. So that's our thing. And we fish. We bought a little boat. It's called the Sea King. You'd never put it into the sea because it's too tiny. Uh-huh. It was like, I'm like, why would you call it that? It's this tiny little itty bitty boat. But hell, we take it out to Estacada and go pull trout out of there like it's nothing.
There you go.
That's all it takes, right?
Yep.
So it's just enough. We have spent just enough in the right areas that in every discipline we have the ability to go. Like if I go in the woods to go hiking, I have all the right packs, all the right gears, all the right navigation stuff, the right way to carry my handgun. If I go on horseback in the woods and I have a way to, to bring all the right gear I need.
Yep.
So if I fall off my horse and break my leg, I can call for help no matter where I'm at and get a helicopter lift out and stuff. So it's like, it's been that whole, not survivalist, but learn how to navigate and, and I think I see myself, if I could retire, if I was rich enough to retire, I would see myself taking the horses and going in different parts of Oregon and riding like out in the Steens and to see more wild horses. And I kind of get wrapped up in that with the
cattle drives.
No, it's just not me. But if I had the right horse for it, I think if I did it, I would like it. But you really need a horse that you could.
No, they are a different breed of cat. Well, trained differently.
Trained differently, and the commands but there's a whole competition to that.
Oh yeah.
And it's beautiful to watch because you see just how well, because the horse is aggressive and it's thinking.
You're just pretty much staying on the horse. The horse doing all the work.
It's crazy complicated. Have you seen the Yellowstone?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Great.
So the guy who finances that and who is really involved in it, you see him in the show every once in a while, is a 5-star rider in that. He is just unbelievably good. And the more I watch Westerns and the more I watch people on horseback, the more my jaw drops and go, holy cow. God, I wish I was that good. Oh man. So anyway, I know it's a side, but that's our shtick, is that.
Yeah. Good.
And it just gets us out in the nature.
That's what it's all about. You got to get away from the grind.
And this state offers something that I never grew up in. Like I grew up in Southern California. It's brown. It was brown and brown and dead and brown and dry and dead and brown. So when it moved closer to the coast, it was dead and then salty. But it was still. And then I came up here and just fell in love with this place. And
that's what attracted me, was the felt like you were living amongst the forest. Yeah. It's not a whole lot more populated since I moved up here. But.
It is getting a little crowded. And I only thing I wish that Oregon had were civil engineers that came out of California. Because California figured out how to design freeways, parking lots.
There's small little cities around this country that have a better get around town freeway system than we do. God, it's just, when I got here in 91, 217 was 2 lanes, 2 ways. Still is.
It's 2024. It's just now getting its 3rd lane.
Were you there when they had the flashing light at Allen?
No.
There used to be a 4-way flashing red light at Allen.
No, there was not. It made you stop?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. No, but I was here when they paved 217 one year and it all fell apart the next year.
Yep.
I was doing copiers at the time and I had this beater Datsun and there was like standing water in there. And that's where I figured out what hydroplaning was. I was like, hey, man, I don't think I'm in control of this car. But so you could have gone to Colorado just as easy as Utah.
Oh yeah, I had relatives there.
Yeah.
Could have come. I could have stayed in Utah.
And that Utah offers a lot.
There is. I miss the country there. I really do. I've been. We're looking for some property, some elsewhere type property to go vacation.
So you get away from everything.
I keep looking back in that area. I like the southern Utah desert area.
Yeah. It is my first trip to Salt Lake, and I went to Salt Lake, through Salt Lake, and then south. And then we went back to pick up a horse. We picked up the big horse in Salem, which is just south of Salt Lake.
Yep.
It's a little community south of Salt Lake. And I think my second trip there, I fully appreciated the beauty of Utah.
And it's got 4 seasons too. That's nice. Mm-hmm. You don't have. We've got 2 here in Oregon.
Yeah, that's true. Wet, dry, wet mold, dry smoke. Which one are we in now? But the way that, even the way that the communities are built, first off, I couldn't navigate it. All the roads are based on a navigation system I have not quite figured out. not in Salt Lake, but south of it, the way that they gridded out the roads.
You mean like knowing the center of town and you go first,
yeah,
second, third?
It was not easy. And the guy we were staying with at this bed and breakfast, and he's like, okay, to find our house is not easy. And he was not kidding, even though you would think that, but it was the way, I'll show it to you on the phone, you're going to go, huh?
Yeah, if you know the center of town, where I grew up, it was laid out. I mean, if you know where the center is, you give it a north and an east or whatever, and you could, no problem, 11 blocks and 4 blocks, whatever,
right.
you know.
And I think it makes sense to the people who are used to it, but we did not. We were like, what the hell's going on? We just kept looping around. But I get it, you know. But when we looked at it, like they would build these housing complexes, and you could see each housing complex that was going up as they moved further up into the mountains and stuff. Each one had this huge park for the kids. Every one of them. One of them.
Yep.
So the roads were wide enough you could turn a freaking fifth wheel in the middle of the road because they've got all that space.
Wide roads.
Yeah. And there's a billion places for the kids to ride their stuff at. So it's kid-centric.
Yep.
Where, you know, you live in an older community, that's not, you know, I mean, where I live out in my part of Clackamas, no sidewalks or nothing. I mean, it's like,
you're lucky. We just a few years ago got a sidewalk.
You know, well, it looks like
we didn't have sidewalks.
So it's fun. This is a kind of a, you know, you're seeing our own little state kind of grow and incorporate, you know, design philosophies from other areas, and it's a changed community from what it was. It's a lot bigger than it was.
It's too bad to see them putting so much effort into building rather than the infrastructure.
I have to agree with you.
I don't see them, you know, creating a road system to handle the volume of housing and that they're doing. It's because there's a lot of dense homes now. And
I don't know that they're not aware of it. I think that annexing and widening roads and property rights have a different way of dealing with it here, where I don't think it's easily done.
Well, especially when you talk about it, and then you let building and development happen. Exactly. If you don't go procure the land to begin with and start going after the rights, you're
stuck.
It looks like they're going to help a little bit coming around back through the backside of Sherwood, but
still,
it's too late.
It is, and I thought the same thing. One of the things I didn't mind when I went back to the Hill was not having to be a service tech and running and gunning all over town, because not only are you contributing to half the problems, because you know every time you've got a van, you're rolling out there with everybody else.
Oh yeah.
But having to know all the workarounds to get back to where you need to be at a timely fashion. And I knew shortcuts and tricks to get from, because when I worked for United, we'd have to bring our vans back every night. Well, they're on MLK and going. Okay, we'll get to MLK and going by 4 or 5. You better know a couple of quick ways to
some back streets.
Some back streets, because if you ain't coming around going to Lovejoy and coming around and jumping on the right bridges, you ain't going to get home in time. This is the way, and especially if you teach, you've got to.
Yeah, you got a schedule to be on.
Yeah, but anyway, we kind of digress in that. But I feel like, to me, having been up here long enough, I've definitely got web feet. I love the state, and getting out and just seeing parts of Oregon that are still pristine, still pretty much unmolested, is just like, especially out in the deserts. Man, the deserts in this place, the high deserts out here, are just
they are
awe-inspiring.
Nice,
and they're different than Utah. They're different than California, because they're all low plateau deserts in California. A whole different kind of feel. It's a different world. And so I'm like, so I haven't really scratched that itch. In California, Anza-Borrego, just east of San Diego, is a place called Anza-Borrego Desert, which is pretty well known. But it's a real low. It's kind of like the desert you'd see on the westerns, where where there's a lot of cactus and a lot of yucca and really rugged terrain and stuff like that. That's the kind of desert I stomped around in as a kid. And then when I came up here, I thought, well, this is totally unique and different, and not as many rattlesnakes and scorpions to deal with. So it's like, that's not too bad. They were still here, but not as many. That's what I fell in love with. So anyway, where are we at on time? So we're probably at a good point to close it down. Do you think we should hit anything else?
I sent you a text. Are you doing your text points about?
So the text says, okay, I'm gonna go back in.
Other than that, we can just talk about whatever we want to talk about.
It's fun. So Tyler, who's playing my producer today, says the seasons go in this order, Dave. He goes, they go winter, New Year's, ice season. I'm already laughing. He goes winter, New Year, ice season, early spring, second winter, wet spring, wet, humid, hot summer. This is Arizona hot. Normal summer, fire season, finally nice, autumn, winter. Well played, sir. Well
Okay,
played.
I got to take that back then. That's a good one.
Well, I appreciate you coming in and sitting with us. Obviously we don't have an agenda.
No,
I just wanted to bullshit with you and say hi.
and again, about the industry. I mean, what we're fighting the issue with the college. You know, the traditional college education seems to be a hot topic out there for a lot of people.
So are you getting a lot of students that are bringing that up, or are you bringing it up to them?
No, I'm seeing more people drop out of that and come into the program.
I am too.
I think that the word needs to get out there a little bit more that the trades are not a bad place to earn a living.
I have to agree with you.
3 years, and I'm gonna go high, $2,000 a year to go to school for 3 years,
Okay.
$6,000 for your education, right, for this program.
And then what?
And
Then what are you making per hour?
You're making $40 an hour when you get out.
There you go.
So there's $80,000 a year. No school loans.
Yep.
They're all paid for.
You're way ahead of the game. So when I went with Eva, I tried to schedule a couple of them, but I could only make one. But I went with Eva to a high school in Vancouver, one of the tech high schools, and I just wanted to see what she does when she goes there. And she's got her game down. Like she shows up, she sets her stuff out. She's got her the things that she gives away to the kids and the spiel. So I kind of got into the groove and talked to, I don't know, a dozen kids and said the same thing. Like, and a lot of them were like, hey, screw you, I'm going to go to college, or I'm going to go to the Air Force. I'm like, dude, I'm not stopping you from going to the Air Force. I mean, I should, because you should be in the Navy. But anyway, but no, I said, no, I'm not telling you that. I'm just saying that if another option was available, that you decided that, hey, you know, what if it doesn't work out? What if the Air Force can't take you, or you can't get your job you need, you know? And I tried to do a couple more, but it would be cool if some of us could experience that, to see how she's out talking to these high school students, because those are the kids that are, you know, I told a couple of them, look, you're going to be 18. If you come and spend until you're 21 with us, you're making, at the time, I think it was like $37.50 an hour was the minimum.
Yep.
Or $36.50 an hour, something like that. At $36.50 an hour, 3 years from now is what you'll be making. And right off the bat, you'll be making, 50% of that.
Yep.
So what the heck?
Yeah.
Like, why would you not consider that? You know, I don't want to be like some hard sell kind of guy.
Well, and you've got almost an associate degree when you're done.
Yeah.
A few classes above and beyond, you got an associate degree. So if you still want to continue down
if you do want to get your college
traditional
degree,
scholarship training to get something, that pushes you down that same path. And you're also working. You got a career.
I have to agree.
You can. So.
Well, that's our 2 cents worth. I think that I think we offer a hell of a product, and I hope people would jump on and take advantage of it.
And there's no better industry to the opportunities than this one. Yep. There isn't.
And like we talked earlier before we even started, I said, how you doing? You went, business is crazy good. It's crazy good right now. I'm having a hard time keeping up. As a small business owner, having a hard time keeping up is a good thing. Good thing for business, bad thing for your health.
Oh yeah.
But
the last project I just wrapping up was over 30 miles of cables have been installed in that. So.
Yeah, I hear Tyler was on that gig. How'd that work out for you, bro?
Great.
How'd it work out for you, broski?
It's awesome. Got a new car out.
See? So you got rid of that other one with the shitty transmission? No. All right. Well, thank you, Dave. Thanks for being here.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Happy to come back anytime.
Thanks for listening to the Half-Watt Podcast. We always want to hear from you, and we encourage you to email us at halfwattpod@gmail.com with questions or even your own stories. Funny, crazy, or praiseworthy, we want to hear it all. You can follow us on Instagram at halfwattpod to stay up to date on our feed. And be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. And share us with a friend, the best way to help us grow. The Half-Watt Podcast is a production of Now Hear This Studios.